The rest of the world had already picked their favorites. Thailand, Japan, France, Italy. Nobody put Malaysia at the top of the list. Nobody. And then 2026 happened. Over 10 million foreign visitors arrived in Malaysia in just the first 3 months of the year. That number didn't just beat Thailand. It beat Singapore. It beat Vietnam. It beat South Korea. In a single quarter, Malaysia had outrun every other nation in Southeast Asia, and analysts were scrambling to explain how a country that most Western tourists couldn't confidently point to on a map had suddenly become the most talked about destination on the planet. But here's what makes this story extraordinary. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a viral moment. It wasn't even a celebrity endorsement. What happened to Malaysia's tourism in 2026 was the result of a plan so quietly executed, so precisely timed, that by the time the world noticed, it was already too late to catch up. So what did Malaysia actually do? And why are visitors from places like India, China, Australia, Turkey, and even the United Kingdom suddenly booking flights to Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Langkawi, and Sabah in numbers nobody predicted? Let's start with the move that changed everything. In a bold diplomatic and economic decision, Malaysia extended visa-free access to citizens of China and India, two of the largest outbound travel markets on the entire planet, all the way through the end of 2026. Think about what that actually means. Over 1 billion potential Chinese tourists. Over 1 billion potential Indian tourists. Both groups, suddenly, don't need to fill out a single visa form. No paperwork. No waiting. No rejection risk. Just book a flight and go. The result was immediate. Between January and August of 2025 alone, Chinese arrivals to Malaysia jumped by nearly 28% compared to the year before. By the time Visit Malaysia 2026 officially launched, new airline routes from cities across China, including Sichuan, Xi'an, and beyond, were being announced almost weekly. Malaysia hadn't just opened a door. It had torn down the entire wall. If you're enjoying these stories about Malaysia, take a second to subscribe. Every subscription helps this channel create more videos and bring more fascinating stories, discoveries, and insights about Malaysia directly to you. And India's response was just as dramatic. As geopolitical tensions in the Middle East made some destinations feel uncertain, Indian travelers began redirecting their travel budgets. Malaysia, close, affordable, visa-free, and bursting with culture, became the obvious choice. Tourism Malaysia hosted major roadshows in New Delhi. Indian travel agents were flown in for networking sessions. The message was clear: Malaysia wasn't waiting for tourists to find it. Malaysia was going out to get them. But here's where the story gets even more interesting, because the visa policy was only one piece of a far larger puzzle. The Malaysian government had allocated a record-breaking 550 million ringgit specifically for tourism promotion under the Visit Malaysia 2026 campaign. That's not a small marketing budget. That's a war chest. And every ringgit was deployed with surgical precision. Digital campaigns ran on Chinese social media platforms. Themed travel packages were designed around food, culture, nature, and adventure. A new campaign logo, a theme song, and a national mascot were unveiled to give the whole movement a visual identity that could travel the world. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim didn't just launch the campaign, he called on every Malaysian citizen to become an ambassador for their own country. Hotels, restaurants, tour guides, dive instructors in Sipadan, durian farmers in Rob, everyone was part of the plan. And the plan worked beyond even its own targets. Remember, when the campaign was first announced, the goal was 35.6 million international arrivals for the full year. Malaysia had already blown past 42 million in 2025. By early 2026, authorities had revised the target upward to 47 million visitors, and analysts were saying even that might not be the ceiling. Now consider what Malaysia is actually offering these visitors that other countries can't easily replicate. Within a single trip, a traveler can walk through the colonial streets of Georgetown and Penang, ride a cable car into the cool highlands of Henteng, dive into the crystal waters around Sipadan, one of the most celebrated dive sites on Earth, and then land back in Kuala Lumpur for some of the most extraordinary street food available anywhere in Asia, all without changing currency 3 times or navigating 3 different cultural rule sets. Malaysia is one country, one currency, one set of entry rules. But it feels like 5 countries in one. The multicultural fabric of the nation, Malay, Chinese, Indian, indigenous, means that a mosque, a Buddhist temple, and a Hindu shrine can literally exist on the same street. For international visitors increasingly searching for authentic, layered cultural experiences rather than sanitized tourist zones, Malaysia delivers something rare. Then add the language factor. English is widely spoken across Malaysia, in hotels, restaurants, shopping malls, and even in rural areas. For Western travelers who find language barriers in other parts of Asia genuinely daunting, Malaysia removes that friction almost entirely. And the numbers from unlikely markets tell their own story. Australia's arrivals surged. Turkey's arrivals surged. Even Brunei, a tiny, wealthy neighbor, saw its outbound travel increasingly pointed toward Malaysia. Every corner of the globe seemed to be discovering the same thing at the same time. What about the travelers who had already visited before? They came back. Malaysia's tourism authorities had built the Visit Malaysia 2026 campaign on 5 deliberate pillars: sustainable tourism, cultural and heritage preservation, nature and adventure, digital innovation, and global connectivity. That last word, connectivity, matters more than it sounds. New flight routes weren't just launched to and from Kuala Lumpur. Penang got new international links. Sabah got new international links. Sarawak got new international links. Suddenly, a visitor didn't have to fly into one city and travel the entire country by land. They could land directly where they wanted to go. Medical tourism quietly became another factor. Malaysia had already become the 2nd largest medical tourism destination in all of ASEAN. In 2024, medical tourist arrivals grew by 26%. By 2026, hospitals and specialist clinics across Kuala Lumpur and Penang were welcoming patients from across the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa, combining healthcare with leisure travel in a way that added an entirely new dimension to what visiting Malaysia actually meant. All of this, layered together, produced something that genuinely surprised the global travel industry. Not just a good year. Not just a post-pandemic bounce. A structural shift in where the world's travelers were choosing to go, and why. The countries that had long dominated global tourism rankings weren't standing still. But Malaysia wasn't chasing them either. It had stopped.